Since 2001, CO2 emissions from forest fires have surged dramatically, increasing by 60% globally. This alarming trend underscores the growing severity of wildfires, largely attributed to climate change. The surge in CO2 emissions poses a significant threat to the environment and human health, creating a vicious cycle of warming and more fires. Immediate and sustained action is critical. A study by the University of East Anglia, published in Science, reveals a significant rise in CO2 emissions from forest fires. Researchers analyzed data over 2 decades, highlighting a threefold rise in emissions from boreal forests in Eurasia and North America. The study also notes a shift in emissions from tropical to extratropical forests, indicating broader changes in global fire patterns. This research is crucial for developing effective strategies to mitigate the impact of forest fires. It provides a scientific basis for policy decisions and underscores the need for a coordinated global response. Boreal forests in Eurasia and North America have seen a threefold increase in CO2 emissions since 2001 due to more frequent and intense fires. These forests are particularly vulnerable to climate change, experiencing hotter and drier conditions conducive to large-scale wildfires. The increase in emissions from boreal forests has significant implications for the global carbon cycle, releasing CO2 sequestered for decades. Protecting boreal forests is essential to mitigate their impact on the environment. Enhanced fire management practices and increased funding for research and conservation efforts are critical steps. The study highlights a shift in CO2 emissions from tropical to extratropical forests, driven by climate change. Regions previously less prone to fires are now experiencing more frequent and intense fires. This trend is evident in increased emissions from boreal and temperate forests. The shift in fire patterns necessitates a more adaptive approach to global fire management strategies. Understanding these shifts allows for the development of more effective strategies to mitigate the impact of forest fires. Climate change is a major driver behind the increase in forest fires and resulting CO2 emissions. Rising temperatures create ideal conditions for wildfires, and increased vegetation growth provides more fuel. This creates a feedback loop where more CO2 emissions lead to further warming and more fires. Addressing the root causes of climate change is essential to mitigating the impact of forest fires. This includes reducing greenhouse gas emissions, transitioning to renewable energy, and implementing sustainable land management practices. Forest fires disrupt the global carbon cycle by releasing stored CO2 back into the atmosphere, contributing to global warming. The increase in emissions reduces the capacity of forests to act as carbon sinks. The loss of forest cover due to fires has long-term implications for carbon storage. Protecting and restoring forest ecosystems is crucial to maintaining their role in the carbon cycle. This includes proactive fire management, reforestation efforts, and policies aimed at reducing deforestation. Dr. Matthew Jones from the University of East Anglia emphasizes the challenge that rising forest fire emissions pose to global climate goals. The increase in CO2 emissions from forest fires undermines efforts to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Current climate policies often overlook the impact of forest fires. Integrating forest fire management into climate strategies is essential for meaningful progress. Policymakers must recognize the urgency and take decisive action, including increasing funding for research and implementing effective fire management practices. Proactive fire management strategies are essential to address the rising threat of forest fires. This involves prevention, early detection, and rapid response mechanisms. Prevention includes creating fire breaks, managing vegetation, and conducting controlled burns. Early detection systems and rapid response teams are crucial for containing fires quickly. Increased funding is critical to support these strategies, with resources allocated to research, training, and equipment. The growing vulnerability of forests to climate change and the resulting increase in CO2 emissions from forest fires is a pressing issue. Protecting forests from wildfires is essential to maintaining their function as carbon sinks. Proactive fire management strategies, increased funding, and international cooperation are key to mitigating the impact of forest fires. By taking decisive action, we can reduce CO2 emissions, protect forest ecosystems, and achieve global climate goals. The time to act is now. The future of our forests and the planet depends on our ability to address the rising threat of forest fires.